Hello, hello, hello. I'm not sure what this talk is about because it's coffee time and I've just got thoughts in my head, but I haven't really kind of nailed them down. But it is an interesting book. I'm going to start off with a reading. Ours is a brand new world of all at onceness. Time has ceased, space has vanished. We now live in a global village, a simultaneous happening. We're back in acoustic space. We have begun again to structure the primordial feeling, the tribal emotions from which a few centuries of literacy divorced us. We've had to shift our stress of alienation from action to reaction. We must now know in advance the consequences of any policy or action, since the results are experienced without delay. Because of electric speed, we can no longer wait and see. George Washington once remarked, "We haven't heard from Ben Franklin in Paris this year. We should write him a letter." At the high speeds of electric communication, purely visual means of apprehending the world are no longer possible. They are just too slow to be relevant or effective. Unhappily, we confront this new situation with an enormous backlog of outdated mental and psychological responses. We've been left dangling. Our most impressive words and thoughts betray us. They refer us only to the past, not to the present. Electric circuitry profoundly involve men with one another. Information pours upon us instantaneously and continuously. As soon as information is acquired, it is rapidly replaced by still newer information. Our electrically configured world has forced us to move from habit of data classification to the mode of pattern recognition. We can no longer build serially, block by block, step by step, because instant communication ensures that all factors of the environment and of experience coexist in a state of active interplay. That was from the 60s. Great book, you should read it. We're all doomed. Oh, we're all doomed. So that was the 60s when, well, I guess it was talking about television and the telephone and teletype. And I don't know, they would have even had the fax machine then? Possibly not, but they've had the teletype. The speed of information, the speed of communication. Now we live in I don't even know what world we live in now. I wonder what, it was Marshall McLuhan and Quentin Fiore, I think that's how you pronounce it. I wonder what they would have made of now after reading that thing. That went down the wrong hole. Good start. So yeah, I've been kind of thinking. Don't think now. Don't think. It's not good when you think. Best not to think. Best just to prepare for death. But I was thinking about Doctor Who because that's the important thing to think about. not just Doctor Who, but what's happening in the cultural landscape and why we find ourselves in the predicament that we're in. The Doctor Who figures came out. The overnights were 2.11 million, which is on the dip down again. It's not. I thought it might be worse, but obviously there were no barbecues or football matches on that evening, and this shift away from mass media to whatever it is. But it's not strictly true, because certain things are successful. Certain bits of culture still pervade, whereas other cultural points seem to be fading. Now, again, one thing that we talk about now is says the medium is the massage, but what we're talking about is the message. With Doctor Who, there's a lot of messaging in it now, right? And I'm just using Doctor Who as an example because Doctor Who is a show that's beloved to me. I've watched it since The Deadly Assassin. I could have only been, crikey, 4 years old, maybe 5. I don't know, but you know, it's always been in my life for as long, as we can, or as long as I can remember. It's always been a part of my thing. And what we've seen recently, over the years, there's been a slow creep, but I think the messaging previously was a bit better done. And what we've got now, and we're getting this with a lot of TV shows, movies. I'm looking at you, Marvel and Disney, because I'll come on to you next. Is the idea of inclusivity. Now, inclusivity on paper sounds wonderful. We're going to represent everyone. And the issue with that, as we've seen with Doctor Who, is it's a time travel show. So, when they go back in time, for it to be truly representative, like in the Rogue episode, which is set in 1813, we attend a fancy ball. Oh, I do enjoy your balls, Mr. Locke. It's just the cut of these trousers. We see everyone represented there. Well, we don't, because we don't see any disabled people. There was no people in wheelchairs, were there? There was no blind people. No. There was no people that were, I don't know, with birth defects. We don't want those people in. We don't want those people. Don't want those. That's not. I don't want to be that inclusive, because they're not like us. We see that even though it's 1813, there's every colour of the rainbow there, and that's wonderful. It's inclusive, but there's that cognitive dissonance that needs to happen for you to process it. I have to turn off my brain. This show doesn't make sense. But inclusivity, wave a flag, any colour you want. You choose the flag. Good for you. You're waving a flag. It makes you feel like you're doing something. And this is why I think a lot of people are just kind of giving up on this stuff, because we don't mind stories with morals. We used to have stories where there was a moral kind of heart to it, and we don't have that anymore. There is no moral heart to Doctor Who. I mean, it's like, how can there be? There can't be, because this is the 21st century where morals are loose and fast. Morals can be anything you want them to be, because inclusivity. Just saying. And this is why everything is being broken. When you force a minority view into a show, you really crowbar it in, you end up kind of alienating the majority. The majority goes, well, I'm not against that minority, but this show isn't really for me, and you head for the door. And then because those people say, you must be insert an ist here, they're never coming back. That's it. And so the franchise, the idea, the story is broken. We break the hero because we turn him from one thing into another, because representation and inclusivity. And I think this is what we're seeing now. If these people, again, all the gay, black, minority creatives that I knew back in the day, right from the 80s to whenever, from the last 15 years, all those people created things, their own things. They didn't do what they'd call cultural appropriation, where they took a thing that existed and kind of made it their own. They'd create a new thing, their own thing, and it would appeal to their audience and even people outside their audience. There are a number, I'm not going to name people because that's boring. You You figure it out. That keeps it mysterious. If I don't name anyone, then you've got to actually figure it all out for yourself. Why should I fucking spoon feed you morons when you could actually use what's between the pudding that's between your ears? I dare you. But they created their new things. This is why there's no new things. There are no new things. Now, Russell T Davies could have created a science fiction show with a gay protagonist that dealt with all these issues, and maybe it would have been new, refreshing, exciting, and it may have garnered an audience. I can imagine something like that would have come about in the 90s. 95, there was lots of interesting shows around. I can imagine that kind of show could have existed, and it would have got an audience. But we don't get that now. What we do is we get people coming along, whether it be Doctor Who, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel, and they go, well, we're going to create something, not because we like telling a story, because again, in the old days, this is another thing. Remember, the medium is the massage. In the old days, people did things to tell stories. Yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Imagine sitting at a typewriter, right? Oh, do I need to explain what a typewriter is? A typewriter is a mechanical device that when you press a button, a little hammer hits the page and uses a ribbon that impresses ink, which makes like a little letter. It's a bit like an analog version of what you do with your thumbs on your phone. It's a bit like that. For those of you who don't know what a typewriter is, because everyone's thick. It's true, they are. Everyone's thick. Imagine sitting at your typewriter and thinking, well, I'm going to write a book because I really want to make it inclusive. And that's the whole point of my book. No. A writer sits down and writes a story because storytellers have one job, and that's to tell a story. Now, you can weave into it all manner of morality plays, social conscience things. Again, you're anti-woke. I come from the 1980s. We invented woke. We had a different name for it back then. It was called being decent, being good. Being woke is being absolutely impossible and a little bit mental, constantly pushing your ideologies down other people's throats, whether they like it or not. Whereas, in the 80s, we were just decent. We were nice people. It was a good time. 80s and 90s, they were good times. Didn't have all this bollocks. Didn't have people trying to lose people's jobs for making a tweet. Wow, isn't that amazing? If you'd have told me that back in 1996 when I first came online, I think I would have thrown my modem in the bin. So anyway, you can tell that a lot of these creatives out there haven't got a first fucking clue, because it's not about the story anymore. We had stories. Again, take a franchise, whether it be Marvel or Star Wars, we had stories. But the ideologues got involved, and they said, well, how can we use this? Remember, the medium is the massage. How can we use this to not deliver a story anymore, but to kind of get people open to ideas that really goes against their grain? Because that'll work, and regular people go, I don't like this. This isn't a good story. I want my heroes to be heroes, and I want my villains to be villains, and I want the guy to get the girl in the end, or the guy to get the guy, or the girl to get the girl. You can do that without it being preachy, But here we are, totally broken. Now, again, they say, Doctor Who, going back to Doctor Who, circling back, Doctor Who's always been gay. Yeah. Crikey, was it John Nathan Turner, who was a long time, I guess he was a producer, I guess you'd call him showrunner now, wouldn't you? He was openly gay. But whilst Doctor Who was camp, it never really had a sexual agenda. There will be people in the comments who say, yeah, there was that time when the Doctor looked a bit odd at Adric, and I go, yeah. But again, Nathan Turner himself wasn't a man without scandal, because again, it was a different time. But my point being is, you can be a gay man and not destroy a franchise. No, it was Michael Grade what destroyed Doctor Who in the 80s. But yeah, it just got me to thinking about how we have all this kind of cultural appropriation by the back door. They wouldn't call it that, though. You can't call it that. It's delivering a message. It's delivering a message. But this is why we don't have any new things. Because I've realised we are staring into a cultural abyss. Because they don't want to tell any new stories. There aren't any new stories. And if there are new stories, the story is kind of sidelined by the message. Because that's how all stories are written now. You've got to have a message. Yeah? Lenny Henry was in the news recently, complaining about his Windrush drama being dropped after one season. Now again, I can imagine such a show, being made in the 90s and doing rather well. But because we live in these times, the message is whitey bad. That's going to be the message, and we're going to have to, feel terrible for what went on, rather than it being a cold, dispassionate look at, the inequalities of the Windrush generation coming over here and helping us in our time of need in the post-war period. It'll be pointing the finger out of the screen at the viewer. And again, it's all about tonality and how they deliver the message. Remember, the medium is the message. Remember that. It's a good prop. You've got to, it's a good prop. And this is why they didn't renew it, because it's a turn-off. People don't want to be dictated to. It's the art of writing. And there are no good writers anymore. And this is why TV's failing. This is why cinema's failing. Music, well, don't even want to talk about that. Books, again, I guess books are in the doldrums as well, because they've all got to, hit their quotas. And, and if your book is on the wrong list, it gets hidden at Waterstones. Again, Waterstones and all those places are actually owned by, was it hedge funds, which invest in fossil fuels. But no one's smashing up Waterstones. Or Borders. Don't have them over anymore, do we? So yeah, this is a bit of a. I've gone into a bit of a ramble mode, and it's just a real shame that all these ideologies have kind of come to the fore, especially when we don't really need them. We don't really need it anymore, because especially in the UK, because despite what certain people will tell you, this is one of the most welcoming places to live. You can basically come here and no one give a fuck. You'll leave you alone. Yeah, there are right-wing nut jobs wherever you go, but this is why everybody wants to live here, because we are the land of the free. But the ideologues are insistent on telling stories and more importantly, breaking characters, destroying characters, because representation. So okay. Why don't you create new things to represent yourself like we used to do? Why don't you create new things? Why do you have to damage existing IPs? Why do we even have existing IPs? Surely some of these things, like Doctor Who, Star Wars, maybe those things should be put in a drawer and forgotten about. Maybe we're too reliant on, crikey, comic books that are coming up to 70 years old, even older with the likes of Superman. maybe this is what's causing this death of culture, is this continual regurgitation of the same story. And again, in Hollywood, the sequel is king. The known is a surefire bet than the unknown, which is a shame. This is why, like, kind of independent movies, I wouldn't say they're necessarily in the doldrums. They're just kind of streaming fodder now. But I think we're going to have to see a return to that, because people have had enough. COVID has done that. It's been a great leveller. It's taught people to be a little bit more conservative with their media consumption. Then we've got to factor in short form media, TikTok reprogramming kids' brains so they can't actually handle long form media anymore. Again, the medium is the massage. All media are extensions of some human faculty, psychic or physical. Good how that opened at the right place for me, isn't it? It's really good. You should really read this. It'll get you thinking. Especially back in the old days. Back in the old days. A long time ago. Yeah, so this is where we're at. And again, the thing with culture, and I've talked about this before with my post-cultural society thing, is the more culture becomes fragmented and diluted, the more alienated people feel. And they find themselves kind of aligning and falling into groups they wouldn't necessarily associate themselves with, because they might share, again, an ideology or a sexuality or a weird kink. Again, that's the thing, isn't it? Oh, to be kinky, that would be interesting. And here we are, and the internet has enabled, again, going back to that original opening piece, that the internet has enabled us to be utterly and totally reactive. Wow, that's going to damage your brain. Nobody reflects, nobody considers, nobody, mulls things over for a while. Things are instant reaction, because if you don't, your tweet will be forgotten, you won't get the likes, you won't get the endorphin rush, and brains are broken. There was an article, I think it was last week, where Elon Musk very kindly gave internet to an isolated group of tribes people. They got the internet. Oh, isn't it wonderful? What happened? It wasn't good. They all got addicted to hardcore pornography. There you go. And that's the lesson. I think that is the ultimate lesson, is that we're all doomed. We're all doomed. But yeah, Doctor Who is go back again, circle back again. Oh, random thoughts, man. Random. There is something in this. I don't know what it is. You might have to edit it out yourself. Wouldn't it be funny if I didn't have the microphone on? I've been talking silently for the last 23 minutes and 53 seconds. That'd be really funny. But so yeah, television's dead, but it's not dead, because it's also come out. Right, there are some outliers in this, and a good outlier is the baby reindeer thing. I mean, I think that got, on its first weekend, 3.5 million, which is a good BBC Two audience back in the day. And there's an interesting drama, which also includes there's a trans element to it for some people. The main character is, I think he's bisexual, or at least sexually confused in the show. Again, I don't want to give away the plot. And it's Healthy Dollar stalking in it as well. So that really, that's really interesting for all you internet denizens out there who like harassing and stalking people. It's like a little handbook for you. But that one broke through. That's an interesting one that has broke through. And whilst Doctor Who struggles to get like 2 million views on Amazon of all places, Jeremy Clarkson's farming show gets 3 times as many viewers. So black gay male loses against old white overweight straight male. I'm just saying, I mean, I mean, it's just that's the statistics. It's the statistics. So I think what we need to do, it's obvious. New doctor, Jeremy Clarkson. There you go. That's it, and it solves everything. And the assistants, it's obvious. It's the other two from Top Gear, And then Doctor Who will get 7-8 million views every time it's on. How cool is that? And there it is. I've single-handedly pulled you away from the cultural abyss and fixed Doctor Who in one. Don't thank me. Don't thank me. This is this is free. But if you want to make donations, send money to the usual address. Use notes in a brown envelope. Ping. How much you spent? How much at Sainsbury's? What's she been buying? And that was Coffee Time, where I stared into the cultural abyss, and the cultural abyss stared back. Yeah, I doubt there's anybody in the chat room. Josephson said, "Good morning. New Mexico, where nobody has ever heard of Doctor Who. And do you know what? Good for you, son. Good for you." And he also, I bet nobody from New Mexico was represented. Exactly. He gets it. He gets it. New Mexico. That's America. Well, again, America has a very interesting relationship with Doctor Who in that nobody cares. Nobody cares. Even the biggest nerds, even the biggest sci-fi nerds, are completely oblivious and indifferent to Doctor Who, which makes Disney buying it, or again investing into it, a very strange proposition. But someone there thought it was a good idea. Dr. Oz says, "We are culturally unbalanced at the moment, and it will take time to level things out. To Aristotle's golden mean again, but it will happen." Oh, you're an optimist. I don't think so. I think that we're actually doomed. I think that a combination of ideology and social media will end up with, well, I know it's a bit much for 12:10 on a Monday morning, or Monday afternoon now, like Monday lunchtime. Wherever you are, it could be the morning. Again, why am I saying that? Because wherever you are, it's either morning, afternoon, evening, or night time, all at once. Thanks, world, for being an oblique spheroid. I believe that we're heading towards absolute cataclysm, because once that Generation Z, who have been hardwired to certain ideologies, whether it's left or right, and the instantaneous gratification of social media, once you put them in actual high command, shit's going to get real, because they only destroy. They don't create. This is the thing. They do not create. What they do is destroy. They destroy everything. And it is a very, very strange and scary prospect to face, and that's what I believe. Until that generation puts down the devices and really learns to talk to people that have different opinions to them, because that's the key to it. Because I'm of the generation that, crikey, when I was in gainful employment, if we went out to the pub, I'd be sitting around a table where there'd be, me, who's a lefty, there'd be a guy, my boss, who'd be a conservative, there'd be another worker who's Liberal Democrat, and all in between, all be sitting in a circle in the pub drinking and arguing it out, and we'd all, it would all be okay. But nobody has that ability anymore, thanks to, social media and the internet, and that's what's really dangerous and what's really scary. It's the total intolerance of different ideas, and I don't know. It's what I find, and again, even with going back to Doctor Who, Russell T Davies's attitude of, well, if you don't like it, fuck off. Yeah, fine, people will, because they've got so many other things to choose from, and that's not how you foster and cultivate an audience. You just alienate an audience. And again, Doctor Who's my team. Come on, guy. I'll be with you. I'll watch. But you're fucking it up, man. You're fucking it up. and that I find hard to deal with. I really do. And I get the idea of it. We've had gay characters in. I mean, Torchwood, and Captain Jack's a favourite of mine. And I think the Doctor represents something that's older than time. I never liked the heterosexual relationships, to be honest. I'm a bit of a hardcore fan in that respect. I liked him being alien and ancient and separate and wise, and she as well, because we can do both. I had no issue with there being a female Doctor. I have no issue with there being a black Doctor. I just don't like the whole romantic side of it. It's just it cheapens the experience, but representation. But you see that in everything. You see this with Star Wars, where oh god, it's bonkers what they've done to the Star Wars shows. I mean, yeah, you watch it, it washes over you, but you just shrug and go, where's the hero? And it's like, where's good versus evil? When you're rooting for the bad guys, you know you're in trouble. Oblate spheroid. Sorry, did I say it wrong? Sorry. Oblate spheroid. Did I say oblique spheroid? So, I just get it mixed up. But hey, come on. I got one word right out of the two. That's good for me. Anyway, thank you for watching. But remember, we're all in it together. We all share the same ancestral mother. This isn't an anti anything. The only anti thing this is I'm anti storyteller, because a storyteller should be able to tell stories that appeal to everyone without singling out certain categories of people to favour. You should tap into the universality of the hero's tale, and we don't get that anymore. That's broken. They break it and they don't fix it. They haven't figured out how to fix it, because there's a reason why we tell them stories. We tell those stories because they work and it makes people feel good, and we've had those stories since day one, since we first sat around the fire and we first started grunting at each other. Those are the stories we tell. And what you see in all this media, in all these films, in all these TV shows, is them try to put a wedge in that narrative arc, and it ends up just dissatisfying everyone. Everyone just walks away going, well, what was that? What's that? We have heroes that are ineffective. We have heroes who are selfish, who are vain, who are shallow. You can do anti-heroes like that. You can get anti-heroes who are all those things, and then somehow come good at the end. There's a redemption arc, but they create these heroes and they just break them too much. You got to bend them. You got to bend your heroes. Now, I'm not saying that Doctor Who should be a bender, but you can bend him, but don't break him. And I think that's a lesson there for anyone indulging in man love. Bend them, don't break them. There we go. And I think we'll leave it there. But remember, folks, I love you all. I love you, but I love myself even more. There you go. Thank you. It's all right. You don't have to applaud. And yeah, hopefully this will be no use to anyone, because I'm just sitting here talking with a cup of coffee, and that's what this is there to make you think. Do go and check out The Medium is the Massage by Marshall McLuhan and Quentin Fiore. It's an old book back in the 60s, and look, there's even pictures. So you can, and yes, there's even pictures. Look, and there's even a cheeky one there. It's probably I've probably got cancelled for that. But yeah, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to cancel me, because I could really do with the rest. Ta-ta. Love you.